Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
Hello, and welcome to Global One Media's series of interviews with decision makers and senior leaders of companies across the board to help you, our viewers, make informed and intelligent investment decisions. I am Munir Barazi, your business analyst and host, and today I'm pleased to welcome Andrew McIlwain, Managing Director of Investigator Resources, a mineral exploration company that has silver, copper, and gold properties in South Australia. Investigator Resources is listed on the Australian Securities Exchange as IVR. Hello, Andrew. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hello, Munir, and a pleasure to meet you and have the opportunity to talk to your viewers.
You're quite welcome. So can you start by telling us briefly about Investigator Resources and what makes it unique and your approach to selecting projects to explore?
Sure. Maybe look, if I start with the last question first about the selection of projects. Our focus is in South Australia, and as an explorer, you take what's given to you in some respects. You know, if our pursuit was not other rare earths and uranium, it was base metals, and we were lucky enough or fortunate enough to find the silver project, which we referred to as the Paris Silver Project. As you said, we're ASX listed. We are really the only pure silver play on the Australian Stock Exchange. We have some peers that have silver in their base metal projects, but we are by far the highest grade silver project around, by an order of 3 or 4 times to our peers. We have a market capitalisation today of around 90 or $100 million Aussie. And as I said, our investors seek out us for silver exposure.
And can you elaborate a bit more about your current exploration projects and their potential?
Sure. So the Paris Silver Project is at the stage where we're working between the pre-feasibility study that was reported about 12 months ago, and we're completing the definitive feasibility study. So in that, there's some hack work that goes on behind the scenes, technical grind for us to produce final metallurgical recoveries, geotechnical studies, water option studies, environmental studies. So we're doing the work leading up to the definitive feasibility study on the Paris project, which will allow us to make a decision to invest and develop the project and move forward with all the formal regulatory requirements in South Australia. That said, we also have some other tenements where, as you mentioned, we do explore for copper and gold. We also are quite frugal in our approach to exploration, and at times we bring in joint venture partners to explore on our ground, and we end up with a residual ownership at the end of that. So we have a multifaceted approach. We're great explorers, been very successful in being able to identify projects, but also some projects are too big for us, and we bring in some other of the majors.
Very promising indeed. And as you mentioned, you focus for the most part on silver. Why do you prioritize silver, and what is your outlook on the metal in the near future?
Sure. Look, as I said at the start, it's what we found. And whilst there's some lead and some zinc in the area, silver is the primary metal and our primary focus. We have some regional, when I say that, within 5 kilometres, opportunities to add silver to our resource. But at the moment, we've got an in-ground metal value in excess of $2 billion. So that's our focus is in silver. That said, just recently, and I'm a little unique in Australia in that I have experience in a different state, but also in the tungsten market. We are also earning into a tungsten molybdenum project in the Northern Territory. That's a very early stage, just small risk exposure for us into a known project that I think we've got the capacity to take forward. But 95% of our focus is on the silver project and adding resource to that.
And if you can elaborate a bit more on that point, you mentioned it's a low-risk project. What makes it a low-risk project?
So the tungsten project, in fact, had been advanced to a definitive feasibility study a number of years ago when the tungsten price was depressed. The company that had it sort of lost favour with the market, and we were opportunistic in being able to get a position into that project. So as I said, low risk in that we spend $1 million over the next 18 months to earn a 25% ownership of that project, which puts it in a great position. But our silver project is also relatively low risk in that it's in an environment, and the picture behind me is in fact the project in central South Australia. We have no challenges from local communities. We have a great relationship with the traditional owners. There's no downstream water users, which is always a problem when you're on the seaboard where you might affect somebody's water supply. This is in the middle of nowhere. We don't displace anybody or any agriculture, and it's a relatively straightforward project. It's close to the surface, all open pittable. It's actually a low mining cost because most of it doesn't need to be drilled and blasted. It's relatively soft. So the Paris project, if you went through the boxes you want to tick, the hallmarks of a project, it's got most of them.
Very encouraging indeed. And can you walk us a bit through your current financial position? Will you need to raise capital anytime soon?
Sure. Look, maybe just before I do that, Mania, just to touch on the silver price outlook, we're naturally very bullish on silver, but if you look at as things pan out in the American economy, obviously there's a switch to precious metals. We see gold touching over 2,000 US a little while ago. Silver's also over $25 through those glass ceilings, and we see some pretty strong price environment going forward. Our major shareholder is a significant fund out of the UK who have a really, really bullish view on silver, and we're happy to service that for them. But we're well positioned. We raised money before Christmas last year. We've got $6.5 million in the bank. That will see us certainly through our definitive feasibility. So we're not looking to come to market to raise money to undertake the work we've got in front of us.
Remarkable. And what catalysts do you think investors should know about?
Oh, look, as I said, the kick has already started, I think, but still time to get on board. The silver train's left the station and it's starting to move uphill. And as I said, precious metals are going to I think, have a number of very good years. But the real thing that's changed in the dynamic in the silver industry is the decarbonisation and the switch to electric vehicles and solar power generation and so on. Last year was the first year there's been a gap in the supply-demand. Production around the world's about 900 million ounces. Last year, demand was 1.2 billion ounces. So there was a few 100 million ounces that had to come out of inventories. And we're going to see that consumption in solar panels. Every solar panel uses an ounce of silver. Every electric vehicle uses 2 ounces of silver. So there's no new supply coming on, and we see the demand escalating. So apart from its intrinsic store of wealth, silver is going to see a huge industrial demand, and that's going to be also the thing that pushes price along.
Lots of supportive factors that could push the price of silver higher indeed. Andrew McIlwain, Managing Director of Investigator Resources, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing those insights. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Many, my pleasure. And as always, people are welcome to go to our website, www.investres.com.au. My presentations are on there, and you can also make contact with me directly through that.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.